Welcome to another video by your friend Matthew. It's a little bit colder down here in South Georgia today, but that did not hold me back from taking this walk and making this video. So as you know, if you are one of the few in the tiny cluster of people who watch my videos, then you know I've been making videos lately that kind of deep dive into a specific concept. And in some ways, you know, I'm fleshing out, my philosophy of each of these concepts on my own, reflection, journaling, dialoguing with ChatGPT, daydreaming, right? And speaking out loud. I audio record myself kind of improvising about these topics, and making these videos is a way for me to continue to work through these ideas and to flesh them out. And that's part of the reason why I've been making multi-part little series for each concept, because I realize that there is always more to be said, and more to clarify, and more to refine, So today I want to talk about love. Just as truth, beauty, and goodness are these very important things, so is love, of course. And, as I've been reflecting on my philosophy of love, I've realized that it overlaps with and connects with all of my other concepts, And so, for example, consecration, right? Consecration and love are very similar, because one way that I think about love is, and that I have for a long time, is like it's attending and tending to whatever it is we love. And that's a very similar to the way I think about consecration. To consecrate something is to treat it with heightened attention, intention, and care. And so love and consecration are very intertwined. Love and goodness are very intertwined as well. In my videos about goodness lately, I spoke about how one aspect of goodness is that it is the surplus, or the overflowing from infinitude into the finite world, basically. Because I think the most fundamental aspect of reality, or you could say of the divine, is that it is boundless and birthless and deathless and formless, essentially. And it emanates itself, or spills itself, into the material world of individuated realities, right? And I was kind of equating that overflow with goodness, but I would like to revise that today and say that goodness is indeed our honoring and our wielding of certain surpluses inside us. For example, compassion, mental and physical energy, attention, and unwoundedness. Those are some of the surpluses inside of us that we can access and use in order to transcend our default settings, or kind of rewire or dewire our default settings, and to kind of rise above our lower natures, so to speak, whenever we fall into certain really tight loops or negative consequences of anger or any given thing like that. You know, you could say that goodness is the practice of accessing and wielding the surplus inside of us. But I would like to revise the other aspect of goodness that I commented on and say that actually, I think it's more accurate to say that in a cosmic or really, really macro way, that love is the overflow of infinity or infinitude or boundlessness into the bounded world, you know? That giving, that sharing, that overflowing, the inevitable spillage. I think that we could say that I'm more comfortable saying that that's love on a big cosmic level. So that's one aspect of love. Another aspect of love is that once we have this world of individuated realities, then love is the binding together of those things. So, you know, despite the fact that they're individual beings of various sorts, there's still interdependence, right? So love is kind of the bridge between individuation and interdependence, you could say. And related to that, and this is where it overlaps with my philosophy of beauty, the first aspect of beauty that I've focused on is the dynamic interplay or harmonious integration of multiple parts, right? It's when there's a bunch of different individuals or a bunch of different parts in a work of art or in a community or in a relationship. When there's multiple parts, but there's a dynamic resonance or interplay between those parts, then that is beautiful. And my second aspect of beauty is the unique and full expression of the individual, whether a person or a part or an aspect or a component, right? When it's more fully and uniquely expressed, that's beautiful. So for example, you know, vulnerable open-heartedness towards somebody that we're close to, that type of raw expression is beautiful. And in art, you know, in a poem, the singularity of one line, when it's fully potent, that's beautiful. And even raw, open honesty in art can indeed be beautiful. And this is where love comes in, because I would say that love is this kind of dual embrace of the individual and the whole. So you could say that it's honoring the unique expression of the individual, but not in isolation, in the context of relationship, in the context of that dynamic interplay among different people or among different parts. So, love is that inevitable overflow. Love is the kind of binding agent that binds the multiple parts despite their individuation. And so love both celebrates, acknowledges, and encourages individuality and the collective. And, you know, that aspect of love you know, love is obviously challenging. It's difficult. You know, if you're in a close relationship with somebody, whether friend, family, or romantic, the full expression of the individual inside that relationship, when there's two people that are equally expressing their own idiosyncrasies, then that can cause a lot of friction, obviously, right? So it's this kind of dynamic balance of honoring honoring those idiosyncrasies in healthy ways. And one way to make sure that it's healthy is to always kind of fold it back into the whole, you know, like what is simultaneously not shutting down individuality in that relationship. It's simultaneously not shutting that down, but also doing what will be best for the flourishing of the relationship and the partnership as a whole. So those are kind of my most core reflections about love and the different aspects of love. Yeah, so I think that's a good place to land for today. I'm trying to keep these fairly concise, and it's really fun to just see how all of these ideas obviously are connected, you know, in this kind of interdependent web, which again relates to a lot of what I was just saying, right? It's a plurality of parts, you know, this kind of philosophical system that I'm crafting, you know, each of the parts, for example, my philosophy of love, that's one part out of many, and all of the many parts are in this dynamic relationship with each other. And I want for each of the parts to be in a full and thorough and fleshed out expression. And I also want them to connect with the other parts. And they do connect with the other parts, even when I'm not setting out for them to necessarily connect. And it makes sense that as I was further reflecting on my philosophy of love today and realizing how much it connected with all of the other ideas, all of the other parts in the system, that made a lot of sense, right? Because love is that binding agent, and so it has indeed binded the multiple parts together. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're well in these holiday times. Bless you. Until next time, peace out.